David Anderson. What is atonement and a liability formula? Could you please go into detail about these topics? If you could remember or create good examples of the situations when these would be used. Oh, sure. Liability formulas are tossed out like candy in Scientology, especially in the Sea Org. Basically, and it is atonement. That is a Scientology version of atonement. They never use that word, by the way, but they do use lower conditions or lowers. You're in lowers. Okay, there's a scale of conditions in Scientology which are considered operating states, and they start at the top with power, affluence, normal, emergency, danger, and then non-existence. Below non-existence, the person has ceased to be a group member or part of the activity that the condition formulas relate to. For example, a Scientologist, but it could be any group at all. It could be a member of an organization, it could be an employee at a job, it could be a Boy Scout, it could be any group you're part of or any activity you're part of, including a marriage, a family. You know, it doesn't have to be structured, organized groups. But if you're part of one of these activities, then, and you go into a place where you are actively harming the group rather than helping it and working for its furtherance or you know, for its benefit, if you're actually working against the group or you're considered to be working against the group, then you go into these lower conditions, which means lower than non-existence. You have liability, doubt, enemy, treason, and confusion. Okay, that's the scale. And so liability is right below non-existence. It's the last step to get back into non-existence where you can become a group member again and be part of the accepted activity. So with liability, you have 4 steps. The first one is decide who are one's friends. So this step is an effort by Hubbard to get you to realize that you have stepped outside the bounds of the group and those were your friends. And you got to figure out, if you're going to get back in that group, who your friends actually are. Are you friends with the enemy of the group? Are you, with Scientology, for example, are you with the psychs? Are you with the SPs? Are you with the bad guys? Are you with Leah? Are you with Chris Shelton? Or are you with us? So you have to make that decision. Who are your friends, right? The second step is to deliver an effective blow to the enemies of the group one has been pretending to be part of. So you've been in this lower condition, you've been a bad boy, you've been doing bad things. That's the assumption made when you were assigned a liability condition. And so now you have to prove to this group of people that you want to get back in good graces with that you're actually on their side and that they're your friends, they're the people you want to hang with. So you have to deliver an effective blow to the enemies of that group. So if you're going to go back into Scientology, for example, you're going to, and you never really left Scientology. I mean, this language is very extremist and very authoritarian. You're no longer with us. It's this kind of attitude. But Mom, I love you guys. And I'm your son. I don't have a son. It's this kind of melodramatic nonsense that goes on with these condition formulas. I just wanted to say that. But anyway, so you're in a liability condition. You have to atone. You have to make up the damage. So you have to deliver an effective blow. And that means anything that qualifies as that. But it has to be despite personal danger. Okay? The whole step reads, deliver an effective blow to the enemies of the group one has been pretending to be part of, despite personal danger. And if there is no personal danger in what you do, then people will reject your atonement or your propitiation project because this wasn't dangerous to you at all. So you got to do something that has some kind of risk connected with it, or at least write it down when you're showing other people about this in step number 4. You have to get across to them that this was a significant thing that you did. So this could be anything like, like a Scientologist, for example, might say, okay, I'll go to outside a psychiatric hospital and I'll pass out Way to Happiness books from L. Ron Hubbard. So to spread the word of L. Ron Hubbard and I will pass out anti-psychiatry literature from the Citizens Commission on Human Rights to everybody who walks into the psychiatric facility or is coming out of it. Hey, did you read this? Did you know this? And the personal danger there, of course, is that you could get kicked off the property, people could get in your face, you could get, as a Scientologist standing outside a psychiatric hospital, who knows what sort of nasty things you think might happen to you, but that could be interpreted as personal, danger of some kind, right? And so you would do something like that, some kind of make up the damage or deliver an effective blow step. The third step is make up the damage done by personal contribution far beyond the ordinary demands of a group member. And this usually involves working late into the night, all night long. I did many projects where I was working all night long on something because I was trying to make up the damage that I did, right? I was a bad guy. I didn't do my job. I was, given this lower condition. And so now I got to work my butt off to show, hey, I'm with the program. I'm a good guy. And so after I've delivered my effective blow, I then have to work my ass off to show, hey guys, let me back in the group, which is the fourth step, which is basically apply for re-entry to the group by writing all of this down, all the stuff you've done on these first three steps, you write down, and then you have to give it out to everybody in the group or the majority of the group, and you have to get a majority of them to sign off on it. And this is literally involves the person running around with a clipboard or a piece of paper with the condition formula on it, sometimes multiple copies, and you pass them out to people like at lunch and dinner. You'd see people running around doing their liability formulas, and they'd be passing them out and having people read them and answer any questions about it and get them to sign off, I agree that this person should be allowed back in the group. And there was usually an approval column and a disapproval column. And people would, sign off on it in one of those two columns. And if you got a majority of the group to say, hey, you're okay, then you're back in the group. And most of the time people were pretty forgiving and pretty chill on it because, what else were they going to do? If the majority of people rejected it, though, you'd have to go back and do more work. And they'd usually be not too shy about telling you where they think you screwed up, or that you're delivering an effective blow was not an effective blow, or you didn't make up the damage, or this step about who your friends are I don't agree with this doesn't make any sense. And so, you have to be a little bit of a salesman when you're getting this liability formula signed, because people are going to give you a hard time about some aspects of it, and you either have to deal with that and get them to agree, or they sign off on the disapproved column, and then you don't want too much of that because you don't want people getting the idea that you're, not a good guy and you're not with the program. And mostly people want to get out of these liability conditions because it costs them money and time and so much effort to get out of them. So that's how that works in Scientology.